It was a rainy Friday night in Atlanta when Marcus Reed's phone buzzed with a message from his mother. Family dinner this Sunday at 6 p.m. Don't be late again. Marcus read it twice, his lips curling into a small, tired smile. For years, family dinners had been nothing but emotional minefields, places where laughter sounded like mockery, and love came dressed as judgment. He leaned back on his leather chair, the skyline of the city glimmering through the glass walls of his penthouse. His office was quiet, filled with the soft hum of his computer screens displaying graphs, contracts, and delivery route analytics, all part of the logistics empire he had built silently. He whispered to himself, "All right, let's give them a show." Though he could easily afford to send a driver in his Rolls-Royce, Marcus preferred simplicity. To his family, he was still the quiet, broke one, the dreamer who never made it. And that's exactly what he wanted them to believe, until the truth revealed itself. Marcus had always been different. While Jerome, his elder brother, was a high-earning investment banker, and Tiffany, the youngest, was a social media influencer who flaunted designer bags and million-dollar smiles, Marcus was the silent thinker. As a teenager, he'd spent hours learning computer programming in their basement while his siblings went to parties. He didn't care much for attention. He just wanted to create something meaningful. But his parents never understood that. His father would often say, "Marcus, a man without money is a man without respect." And his mother would add, "Jerome is married, Tiffany's got sponsors and deals. When will you give us something to be proud of?" Marcus never argued. He just smiled and kept working. They laughed when he started his tech logistics startup. They called it Marcus's silly online hustle. If only they knew that Smart Move Logistics would one day grow into one of the biggest black-owned delivery tech firms in the South, employing hundreds. But he told no one. Some truths were better revealed through time, not words. Sunday came quickly. The Reed's family home was in a wealthy Atlanta suburb, manicured lawns, polished driveways, and large SUVs. Marcus arrived in his black Tesla but parked 2 blocks away. He wore a simple navy blue sweater, dark jeans, and sneakers. He preferred peace over presentation. Inside, laughter roared from the dining room. Tiffany's voice pierced through. "Here comes the late one." His father chuckled. "Marcus, you still can't afford a proper shirt?" Everyone laughed, except his mother, who just smiled tightly. Marcus swallowed hard, forcing a polite grin. "Good evening, everyone." He hugged her and sat down quietly. The table was beautiful: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, collard greens, cornbread. The smell reminded him of childhood. "Hope you came hungry," his mother said. "I did," Marcus replied. "The food looks amazing." Jerome leaned in with a smirk. "You still doing that online thing, bro?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah, still doing that." Tiffany laughed. "He means still broke, just with Wi-Fi." They all chuckled again. Marcus looked at his plate, smiled, and kept eating. Dinner continued, and so did the disrespect. Jerome bragged about his promotion to senior financial director, and Tiffany boasted about a new luxury brand partnership. Their father beamed with pride, patting their shoulders. Then, turning to Marcus, he asked, "So, what exactly do you do these days? You never bring anything home to show for it." Marcus replied calmly, "I run a logistics software company. It's doing okay." Tiffany rolled her eyes. "He means it's paying enough for noodles and rent." Even his mother sighed. "Marcus, your brother's helping the family business. Your sister's becoming famous. What are you building?" Marcus's fork paused mid-air. His voice was low but firm. "Something that lasts." Jerome smirked. "Dreams don't pay bills, bro." Marcus smiled faintly. "Neither does pride." The table went silent for a second before Jerome changed the subject. The conversation drifted, but the wounds lingered. Marcus could feel every jab, every condescending look. He had been the family's punching bag for years, the reminder of unfulfilled potential. His father poured himself a glass of wine. "Marcus, son, I say this with love, maybe it's time to face reality. You're not getting any younger. You need stability. Marcus looked him in the eyes. Dad, stability is exactly what I've built. Jerome snickered. Sure. Let's see it, then. Marcus dropped his fork and exhaled. You'll see it soon enough. He stood up quietly and went outside for some air. The stars were faint. The cold air stung his cheeks. He took out his phone, opened his banking app, $12.4 million in assets, $8.9 million in liquidity, and several ongoing contracts worth millions. He shook his head. Still broke, huh? He whispered, a sad smile tugging his lips. Tiffany came outside moments later, arms crossed. Hey, don't take it to heart. Dad's just old-fashioned. Marcus turned to her. You all think I'm broke because I don't flash money. She shrugged. You dress like a college intern, Marcus. What do you expect? Marcus chuckled. You'd be surprised how many rich people look poor. She frowned. Stop pretending to be deep. Nobody respects someone who can't prove it. He smiled gently. Respect built on appearances isn't real. Tiffany stared at him for a second before walking away, mumbling, Whatever. Marcus watched her leave. Deep down, he didn't hate them. He just wished they'd believed in him before the world did. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Marcus woke up to hundreds of missed calls and messages. His company, Smart Move Logistics, had just been featured on Forbes as one of America's top 10 black-owned tech startups of 2025. His face was on the cover. The headline read, Marcus Reed, the quiet tech visionary revolutionizing urban logistics. He laughed softly. The same family who called him broke now probably had the magazine in their hands. Jerome texted, Bro, is this really you? I'm proud, man. Tiffany posted the article on Instagram with the caption, So proud of my brother. Always believed in him, grinning face with sweat red hearts. His parents called multiple times, but Marcus didn't answer. Not yet. Some truths needed to breathe before being addressed. 3 days later, there was a knock on his penthouse door. When Marcus opened it, his parents stood there, stunned by what they saw. Marcus, his mother whispered, looking around the luxurious apartment. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling glass, modern art, and a panoramic view of downtown Atlanta. His father looked equally speechless. You live here? Marcus nodded. Yes, Dad. Been here for 2 years. Jerome and Tiffany followed behind, both wide-eyed. Tiffany gasped. This is better than Jerome's whole house. Marcus smiled. I guess my online thing worked out. Silence filled the room. Then his father said quietly, Son, why didn't you tell us? Marcus looked him in the eyes. Because you never asked how I was, only why I wasn't like the others. His mother's voice trembled. Marcus, we didn't mean to hurt you. We thought you were struggling. Marcus nodded slowly. You never cared to know. You only cared to compare. Jerome stepped forward. Man, we were wrong. I judged you. I thought you gave up. But you were building something real. Tiffany looked ashamed. I'm sorry too. I didn't understand. His father sighed heavily, rubbing his head. I was hard on you because I thought that's how I could make you strong. I measured success by what I could see. Money, cars, status. But you proved me wrong. Marcus's voice broke slightly. I didn't want to prove you wrong, Dad. I just wanted you to believe I could make it my own way. Tears filled his mother's eyes as she hugged him tightly. We're proud of you, baby. Truly. They sat in his living room for hours, talking like never before. Marcus shared stories of struggle, sleeping on his office couch, eating noodles, coding through the night. His father listened quietly, occasionally nodding, eyes wet. I never realized you were going through all that alone. Marcus smiled sadly. You all were there, but not really there. His mother held his hand. That changes now. Jerome laughed softly. Man, you're the real deal. I guess I owe you dinner for all the times I teased you. Marcus grinned. I'll hold you to that. Tiffany leaned in. So, you gonna hire your big sister for PR? Marcus chuckled. Maybe. But we start with humility training first. They all burst into laughter. The tension that had built for years finally began to dissolve. A month later, Marcus hosted another dinner, this time at his penthouse. He wanted to recreate what family dinners should have felt like. The long glass table sparkled under the soft glow of pendant lights. Jazz music played in the background. His private chef served grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, and peach cobbler. When everyone had settled, Marcus raised a glass. To family, not for what we own, but for who we are. His father stood and replied, and to our son, who reminded us that true success doesn't need to shout. They clinked glasses and laughed freely. For once, no one compared or competed. Tiffany whispered to Marcus, "You know, you could really fund my next business." Marcus smiled. "Let's talk about that after dessert." Everyone laughed again. The love was real this time. No pity. No ego. Just healing. That night, after everyone left, Marcus stood alone by the window, watching the city shimmer like a living painting. He thought about how far he'd come, from being mocked for dreaming to being celebrated for doing. He whispered, "Sometimes, the world has to doubt you so you can learn to believe in yourself." He wasn't proud of the money, he was proud of the journey. Proud that he stayed humble, patient, and consistent even when no one clapped for him. He remembered his father's voice, once sharp with criticism, now soft with pride. He remembered being called broke, yet feeling rich in peace today. He smiled. "They called me broke," he said softly, "but I was just becoming whole." The weeks after the family dinner were different. Calls came more often. The same parents who once ignored Marcus's messages now checked on him every morning. "You eaten yet, baby?" his mother would say. "Don't work too hard, son," his father added one evening, his voice softer than Marcus had ever known. Marcus appreciated the warmth, but a part of him stayed cautious. He knew some apologies came from guilt, not growth. Still, he chose peace over resentment. One Sunday, he drove his mother to church. It was the first time they'd gone together in years. In the car, she said quietly, "I used to pray you'd find your way, Marcus. Turns out, you were already walking it." He smiled. "I just needed time, Mom. And faith that didn't depend on applause." At church, people whispered when they saw the Forbes man walking with his mother. Marcus smiled, greeting everyone humbly. He'd learned something powerful. Humility wears better than designer clothes. After the service, his mother hugged him at the steps. "I'm proud of you, my son, not because of your money, but because you forgave us." He smiled softly. "Forgiveness was the only way I could stay free." A few months later, Marcus decided to give back. He started a foundation, the Reed Initiative, focused on teaching young black entrepreneurs how to build wealth through technology. He believed success meant nothing if it didn't lift others. At the press launch, Jerome and Tiffany stood proudly beside him. Jerome had even volunteered to handle finance consulting. Tiffany offered to manage social media. Marcus smiled at them both. "We're family again, but this time, we build together." But family peace was tested soon after. One afternoon, Jerome came to Marcus's office, visibly upset. "Bro, people saying you're doing all this charity for fame. You need to clap back." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "Let them talk. The truth doesn't need defense." Jerome shook his head. "You've changed, man. You don't even fight back anymore." Marcus smiled faintly. "Because peace pays better than pride." Jerome stared at him for a long second, then nodded. "Maybe I still have something to learn from you." Later that night, Marcus visited his parents. His father sat on the porch, staring into the evening sky. "I used to think money made a man," his father said. "But now I see character does." Marcus sat beside him. "Both matter, Dad, but one must never bury the other." They sat in silence for a while, the stars blinking softly overhead, Two men finally understanding each other after decades of distance. A year passed, and the Reed family had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The family dinners that once felt like judgment halls now felt like homecomings. Marcus had bought his parents a modest new house, not to show off, but to give them comfort in their old age. During Thanksgiving, the table was full again. Laughter replaced sarcasm. Love replaced ego. Even Tiffany, once obsessed with luxury, now talked about mentoring young girls from low-income neighborhoods. Marcus listened quietly, smiling. His success had become a family mirror, showing everyone who they could be without losing themselves. Halfway through dinner, his father raised a toast. To Marcus, the son we called broke, but who turned out to be the richest among us, not in dollars but in dignity. The family cheered. Marcus laughed, eyes wet. "Dad, let's retire that word, broke. It never fit me anyway." His mother reached for his hand. "No, baby, it never did." As they ate, Marcus looked around the table. His family, once divided by pride, now united by truth. He realized this wasn't just a story about money. It was about respect, healing, and the power of time. Later that night, standing by his window again, Marcus whispered, "I used to dream of proving them wrong. But now I'm glad I proved myself right." The city lights blinked below, each one a reminder of how far he'd come, from outcast to inspiration, from silence to strength. And for the first time in his life, Marcus didn't feel like the son who was overlooked. He felt like the man who brought light back into his family. He smiled, whispering into the quiet. "They called me broke, but they never knew I was rich all along, in patience, in peace, in purpose."